So I started making manga about a few years ago, and I made around 360 pages up to this point. Some of the pages were good and some not that good. So here's what I learned about becoming good at making manga. Hint is not only the art. Number one, the story is more important than the art. Now you watch anime, right? And if you don't, you should, for the sake of improving your manga, of course. Now assuming you do, you've heard about Attack on Titan or One Punch Man. Both of these works were carried more by their stories rather than their artistic excellence. As someone who loves art, I often stumble across manga with epic art, like really good. But they don't really go anywhere because the story is either mediocre, okay, or badly told. Now Attack on Titan, for example, initially had bad art but had a good story that made it pop off and it became what it is today. So if the art suffers slightly for the sake of the story, so be it. Just remember, One Punch Man eventually had good art and good story when Yusuke Murata got involved. Number 2, cinematography and character perspective are crucial in telling a story. Now I read a manga recently that was a silent manga. It won first place in a manga competition. A silent manga, by the way, is a manga with no speech bubbles or speech at all. Now this manga was insane. Like, it was crazy how well it was told. And the one thing that I did notice about the manga, because I was reading it very analytically, was each panel felt like I was watching a movie. Now some of the panels were used to convey emotions of the characters without using facial expressions as much as you would think. Let me paint an example for you. Maybe you're watching a movie. The character that's behind the main character will appear in a shadowy figure, right? They won't show their face exactly, but maybe from their face or body or hair, you can tell which character it is. That's what they did in the manga. Now most of the films you grew up watching do this very well, and as a result, you end up with panels that look like they're straight out of a movie. That's what you should be aiming to do with your manga. Think of it as if you are watching a movie, or the person who's reading it is watching a movie through your pages. 3. The story must have a solid structure with enough context in the beginning. Actually, as I was writing the script for this, I realized most manga follow an exact formula most of the time. Like take Dandadan for example, Jujutsu Kaisen or Gachi Yakuta. They all do this one thing. They give context very early on in the manga, very quickly and very naturally. That's what they do well. Then they move to the development of something in the story, something that seems big enough for the story to care about. Then as the development seems to be reaching a climax, they introduce a twist which changes the entire situation. For example, we have Dan. So Momo has boy problems in the beginning, right? And Okaran is a friendless conspiracy theorist. That's the context covered. They have an argument after the nature of their characters force them to meet or make them meet. They then decide to prove each other wrong, which is the development phase. So the development is established at this point. Okaran discovers that the girl Momo was right, and Momo discovers that Okaran was right. And that doesn't matter at that point because they have to escape the consequences of being wrong. That's the twist. And there are many structures like this. Lastly, they have the resolution or the resting point, and that's where they agree that the other party was right. That's how the story goes, the story formulae. But there are many others, so you are not limited to using this one. Like we have Boruto, which starts with a twist and then it introduces context and then development and then it works up to the twist. We still haven't gotten to the point of the twist, but it's there. But I think that about wraps up the topic for this one, and I hope you enjoyed it and you evolve into something proper, a proper mangaka if you will.